And thanks to actually many of you, All Saints just welcomed a school for kids with autism. And I'm thankful to all of the neighbors who are here, because we had to lean into a lot of city laws and the fire department and the police department and all kinds of things to make it happen. And so this invocation and gratitude is for you, but for all of the citizens gathered here.
Congrats. Thank you.
Let us pray. Gracious God, you call us to love one another the way that you love us. I give thanks for the ways that neighbors across time and place here in Port Orange have loved their neighbors enough to create just laws and policies so that we have a beautiful community and we continue to steward your good creation. I ask for prayers on this leadership team, that you continue to center them in neighbor love, because we know that you make a way out of no way when we love our neighbors. And I just ask for prayers and gratitude for my fellow neighbors who are here, hopefully out of neighbor love, to continue to make this community beautiful and to steward your good gifts. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Foley?
Here.
Councilman Gephardt?
Here.
Councilman Green?
Here.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Here.
Mayor Stiltner?
Here. 5-0 and a quorum. Thank you everybody for attending. Item 4, public comments on consent agenda items only. Any public comments tonight on consent agenda items only? All right, seeing none. Anybody from council wish to pull any items from the consent agenda tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to pull item B,
6B.
6B.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to pull that.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. We'll come back to that one. Can I have any other items to be pulled? If not, can I have a motion for the balance of the consent agenda item, please?
So moved.
Second.
Do you have any resolutions on here?
Yes.
Yeah. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner?
Yes, 5-0. That'll bring us to item 6B. Can I have a motion to put that item on the floor, please? Motion to approve the task authorization number 6 for design services for White Place Park with Hall and Oval Architects.
Move to approve item 6B.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Councilman Green, let's start with you.
I put a lot of thought and time into this particular this issue, and I feel like by approving a contract to design something that we don't know what we're designing, I believe that if any of you guys have looked at the rendering that was presented to us, we're basically digging a hole where White Place Ballpark was. Nowhere from this hole is there any benefit to any houses in the area, so it's not a drainage issue. It's a drainage issue of that property, and it'll help that property drain, but I don't believe that it's in our best interest to spend $121,000 to an architect on a project that we don't know what we want. Personally, I don't feel like I know what we want. I don't believe this is the best project for this site. I don't believe putting a pond on that site is a good idea. I believe, personally, it should stay as a field or some kind of green space for kids to go play, or we already have enough problems with not being enough fields in our rec department. And we are scrounging for space. To take this, and again, I grew up playing baseball of this field. A lot of you guys did. It was a baseball field, always was. And I think to dig a hole and put a walkway around it, and it's not best interest of our money on this rec bond. I want to get the more bang for the buck out of the rec bond. And if you guys look at what is in this architect's contract for $121,000, we're not getting anything. I don't see this as a benefit to do this now. Now maybe this council needs to to go down there and say, oh, let's put together a vision, or maybe this is some kind of meeting, maybe more with the rec department, but I don't see how, I think we're jumping the gun and spending this money on a project that, again, we're talking about recoating the parking lot. We're not adding any parking down there, we're just recoating the parking lot. We're gonna fix pickleball courts or put lights on pickleball courts. It's the same set as pickleball courts. I just don't see, if you guys have looked at this particular proposal from the architect, I don't see the benefit to spend this $121,000 to then go and spend more money for what he designs. I think we're jumping the gun with this particular approval myself. I don't think that putting a pond on that property is the right benefit for the Port Orange residents. I think we're scrounging for ground, and I think that, I don't care if just some kids just want to go kick the ball around or throw a football around. Putting a pond in there is going to take any chance of that going away, and we already have an issue with green space and enough space for our rec and for our kids now. I just don't see how this is going to benefit us through the rec department, and I know my main thing was going to be will it benefit houses from flooding, and that answer is no. There's no houses in that area going to benefit from that pond going on that space. So I would like for us to reconsider where we want to go with this piece of property. I want us to hold off on approving this contract until we have a better vision of what we want to do with the property.
Sean?
So I actually spent some time over there at this park and have thrown a football in that field, and it was hazardous to the players' ankles. So it's not a field that's been kept up. It's not a field that's being used, and I don't think our rec's using this field anytime.
It hasn't been used since the hurricane.
Okay. So, and I was there probably, it may have been before the hurricane, but I've been to the pickleball courts after the hurricane, and I mean, it just, to me, it'll look a lot better with what I'm looking at on screen than it does now. And if we can improve, and I'll be spending Friday there at that adult senior center working, and any improvements you make brings improvements to the people that use the center. No one's using the ball field. If they have a place where they can walk around and it is as pretty as any other park that we've created, I'm for it. So I have a little different feeling about it because no one actually uses the ball fields like they were intended back in the past when we didn't have all the other fields. That's my feeling about it.
Let me do this for just 1 second before I come to you two gentlemen and myself. So this is a little bit of a unique thing because we're having a discussion now that pertains to a bond initiative that the voters voted on, and this area is part of that bond initiative. So I believe we have some legal obligations to do this in a certain way and make sure we are staying within the parameters of the bond, because we don't have the authority to go outside the parameters of a bond that was voted on and approved by the taxpayers. So I'm gonna ask the city attorney and the city manager to weigh in here in just a second. But specifically, Mr. City Manager, if you could weigh in on, get us a little bit deeper in the weeds here on what all this will be doing, because I think maybe that answers some of Councilman Green's concerns, because I know when we send the bond out, it's a very 30,000 foot view looking down. This is an area. Now at this point, we do have to make that design, and we do have to do what you're talking about actually, and kind of see, okay, what all can we do? Can we add a couple more courts? Can we cover the courts? Can we do these? What all can we do? So let's just pause on the council comments for just 1 second, bring some clarity, and give us a little bit more detail, and then Mr. Attorney, you can weigh in on that as well. Go ahead.
So you are correct. When we were going through the bond process and meeting with council members before we set up what the total amount was to request in the bond, these are conceptual ideas to give people an idea of what's there. We were careful to make it clear it wasn't going to be exact. So like the Karasi fields, the main point there was to show that there were a series of active athletic fields coming in and a 5K trail. whether they end up going horizontal or vertical, or the property's a little bit south or north, but that was going to be an active area. We have soccer fields that we were looking at putting in Horizon. We may end up flopping land and putting them over here at City Center on school property, but it's still active recreation. The train depot project, we just showed a picture of what could be there with the trains. This is the same way. The main point was to say it was probably going to stay passive. There wasn't going to be an active field in that area. Part of this, it's really set up to be structured similar to how we did Riverwalk Park, where we hired Shalish's company to come in and they came in and did a lot of public input first. And then after they got the public input, they took over to the design stage. So some of the stuff that came up is really important to do. We're going to have to do some geo work to dig holes in the ground and see whether it's suitable for a pond or what may be suitable there. So the project is to get them to go out there and get public feedback. This one was always set up more to ask the people who live there what they want. So the picture was intended to be a general concept, and the first thing that was going to happen was to go out there and start getting feedback from the people who would actually use the park and say, what would you like to get there? And then at the same time, do some physical checks to be sure that it's actually possible to do. We don't want to run into anything in the ground or any kind of issues like that. But that was the point. So the picture isn't meant to be, that's not an engineered, it's not a drawing you can go out and build from. It was really a general concept that don't expect us to put a football field there or a soccer field or something that we expected due to the low lying and the probably the bad dirt of that area, that this would probably be more passive than it would be active outside of the existing. But that's all the request was, as a contract, to have somebody go do the public input, get the feedback, and then come back to you. Before, we wouldn't put them into the design stage until council said, okay, we like what you're doing there.
Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, so I don't think, we do have a lot of latitude when it comes to design. You know, if Councilman Green said, you know, that'd be a great place for a wastewater plant or something just completely unrelated to Parks and Recreation, that would be an issue from a bond standpoint. I've bond counsel here, so you can jump up and say I'm wrong, but I think from that standpoint, we have plenty of latitude to talk about, well, what's the best improvement to this park area, you know, whether it be passive, active, well, that's all on the table. That would still comply with any of the bond language that we have out there. We haven't been tied down to any specific layout. To Wayne's point, this is still very fluid in nature. Just needs to stay in that Parks and Recreation field.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to you, Councilman Green. I don't know if you have any questions.
So again, I'm not looking to just say we're mixing the whole project. Now, I'm not saying at all. And again, I'm still going to stay within the Parks and Rec bond as well. I still think we need to, make improvements to the parking lot, make improvements to the pickleball courts, add some lighting, whatever it is in that respect. But what I think we're doing though, I still think by approving this contract for this kind of money, it's early. I mean, I guess I would like to see something a little more detailed if I'm going to say, okay, let's draw it. But we're gonna spend this money and say, let's get some schematics, and we might not like any of them. But I just think we're spending this money. I mean, and if this is the concept in which the council wants to go with, okay, great, let's approve it. But, and I'm not saying to Sean here, I'm not saying we go out there and make it a groomed field. I figure you go out there and put a little dirt on it, put some grass on it. It could just be a grass field. Nothing needs to be maintained or anything like that. But I still think a piece of grass is more valuable right now in Port Orange than a pond is in that location. But again, that's all I'm saying. Again, if I still want to do improvements to the White Place Park. The parking lot needs to be fixed. We need pickleball lighting. Those things, the horseshoe pit. I talked to them guys and those things. So I still want to stay within the rec bond issue, but like I said, I guess I'm really coming down on designing this way and paying this money at this time if we're still not sure what it's going to be.
All right, did you want to add?
So the spending of the 121,000 is actually to go, that community input is going to come from this team of people we're hiring. So that kind of work to get feedback from the community that lives there. I don't live down there, but I would think that if the people came back and said, no, don't dig a hole there and put water in it, that's not what we need. Is that what this study's going to tell us by spending this money, is the question.
Well, I'm going to let Susan get into more detail, but yes, that's where it was trying to go.
Okay.
Good evening, Susan Ball, Parks and Recreation Director. So like the manager said, it was a conceptual design, and the one thing we do know as we are building projects is anytime we do any renovations, especially in this part of town, stormwater wasn't thought of way back. You guys talk about it all the time. We talk about stormwater. We know if we put any impervious area on this site, we are going to have to capture some of the stormwater. We know that. It could end up being a swale on one side of the park when we get done. It could be a lake in the middle. It could be, we don't know. We don't know what the permits are going to require. So what we're asking is to get our design team on. They're going to do surveys. They're going to do borings. They're going to start to see what we can put there. We will schedule neighborhood meetings, stakeholder meetings. We will give them options on what can fit on the site. And then it comes to a design where they put all that together with, with our team, and we kind of see what we can fit in there. This park, when we intended it, we knew this park had a lot of sentimental value to a lot of people. Many of my staff, this is the first field they played baseball on. And we don't want to lose that in the design either. However, because of the size we are, trying to put a field here, a field there, a field there to program is not efficient. It would require us to have more staff in multiple locations in a night. That's why we've moved to more, putting everybody in same locations or one or two locations. So once we can get to know what is needed, and the reason why this was chosen as a bond project is there is not a park, the closest park to this area of town is Riverwalk, which means kids would have to cross Dunlawton. The next closest is Bushman. So it was important that we provided something in this neighborhood for families to use, whether it was to go fly a kite, have a picnic, ride the little big wheel on the sidewalk, make improvements to the pickleball courts because we're starting to have water come up. That was part of the plan. Make improvements to the parking lot. But again, until we really know what that means for permitting wise and what's going to be required of the permit, we don't even know how much land will be left as far as what our amenities are to see what those requirements are. That is why we need a design team to come on and tell us that. Because unfortunately, I don't know that by myself. And that is what we're really asking for tonight to get started. So, and I'm available for any questions you have.
Hang tight right there.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. Councilman Grubbs.
Susan, I only have one major question, is the land down there now with the field on it. When was the last time you used it as a field?
It's been quite some time. I don't know if you all remember when they did some work on US 1. We actually rented that land to GPS Civil that used it as a laydown site for that project, and then some of that money came in, which we put in the kitty for the project as we went forward. But so there's been building material on there, things like that. There is no clay left there. Everything is just grassed over with a weedy type grass. There's no sports turf. The lights that are there are not operational. So that's kind of where we are with that.
It's probably been late 90s, early 2000s since there was any kind of like field sports activities that we sponsored.
Yeah, and I started.
I played there in 2002.
Yeah, when I
That's
started.
last time, so.
2003, I started, and we
That I
were
know.
just. That was like the last year or two that we actually had sports leagues there.
Okay. And that's the big thing we're, as Councilman Green's asking, as far as field sports and things of that nature, and I get it. Green space is so important today, but it's utilizing the property for the best of the needs that we can do for that community in that area. And if we haven't had field sports there in the last, what sounds like 20 years, and we've used it for road betting, things of that nature, and I remember that because I go to Epiphany Church right there, and as I go past that, I watched that transition, and I was like, okay, what are they doing now to the field?
Right.
So, thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
Councilman Fuller.
All right, so it's my district, obviously, and I've played on this field too, so it holds a place in my heart. But if I'm understanding, I guess the only question I have to ask that's going to determine how I vote on this is simple. No matter what theory, design-wise, we want to go with as a council, this $121,000 is going to be the cost, whether we want it to be a field or a lake or we want to put pickleball courts all the way across it. This is just the cost to get design process started, no matter what.
Yes.
Basically, like if we said, hey, we agree with, Councilman Green, we'd like to have it be a big open grass field similar to the center of Riverwalk, which is what we have there. Then even that, it's still the design price is not gonna go down. It's gonna be about the same price.
Right, because there's all that exploratory things we have to do there. The company that we're choosing is one of our continuing services contract. It has been bidded, so it's competitively bid for pricing, and then that comes in as to what the areas they need. Do they need an engineer? Do they need to hire this? Do they need to hire that? For their team, in order to come up with a comprehensive plan going forward, there's a lot of people in that group.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it sounds like, if I am understanding correctly, I'm just trying to make sure we all have the same understanding of what we're actually voting on here, is to have this group of people, to contract them to bring designs forward to us. And we have some input now from Councilman Green, and we're going to get input from residents. But it sounds like we're voting to approve this to get design started, and then we can pick which design we actually believe is best for that area. So this feels like step one, and that maybe what we're discussing is actually step two and not really pertinent to what we're voting on tonight.
And the contract takes you through construction, so it's not just design and then we bring back more money to take us through construction. So they're with us through the entire project, all the way till you guys cut the ribbon and we have a little hot dog and whatever we're having out there.
But you're correct,
They take us all
you're not
through that.
paying for them to design that picture in an
Correct.
engineering form. You're paying for them to go talk to people and figure out what's the best thing to be there. And if council wants something different there and the public wants something different there, then they'll come back and design what you tell them to put in there.
Okay, then I, understanding that, then I'm going to support this, because then I understand this is just the first step in getting there, and that it may ultimately look nothing like this, but this is just the cost of finding out what it is going to look like. Because if there was cost savings in saying, hey, we want to do this or do that, then I would think that his point's very valid.
Sure.
But either way, I think it's great questions to bring forward, Councilman Green. I really do. It's great to question things like this, especially when it comes to taxpayer dollars. So I applaud you.
Well, and I would say this is a good exercise, because we're going to be doing this quite a bit in the next few years as we move through all these bond initiative projects. So this is good for all of us to be educated on what are all the processes are going to be, what they're going to look like, and things like that. So it's all good stuff. I would just offer that an analogy is we're bringing this down from the 30,000 foot view to ground level. And that's now we got to get on the ground and say, okay, what can we do? What can't we do? Then we have to have a firm that can take the ideas and the concepts and the wants and the wishes and say, that's something you can do. That's something you can't do, and here's why, and all of those different things. I will tell you, interestingly enough, and maybe it's just because more people are watching the council agendas than I think sometimes, but I've probably had 3 to 4 people mention this project in the last week. Several over the weekend for sure. And I will tell you that when it does come time for them to do the community meetings, the pickleball interest is going to capture the room. There is no question. I've already been asked about, can we fit in a few more courts? Can we shade some of the courts? All these different things. And I will say, having been with the city in an official capacity since 1989, I've seen that transition of this facility and park being utilized a lot and then almost being completely forgotten. And the pickleball aspect of this thing has brought this park back to life, which is great. It's amazing. And so I look forward to seeing what the designs, what the community comes up with, what can we do, because this is the time. This is the way to maximize this. So whatever we come up with and whatever ultimately ends up here, it's a 3 or 4, maybe a 5 generation deal before it ever has to go through a redesign and a thing like that again. So let's thank you.
Hold on,
And
I'm
let's
not done. Questions on
I'm gonna
this?
come right back to you.
Okay.
Let's just
I'm not done with her yet.
okay. Well, sorry. Go right ahead, since she happens to be standing there.
Okay, so again,
That's enough.
and-
Okay,
and
so
Susan,
we-
I might be jumping the gun, okay, because when I'm looking at this schematic, I don't see, we're not adding any impervious space outside of a potential playground. The pickleball courts aren't getting no bigger, the parking lot's not getting no bigger.
We don't know that.
Well, I'm just, by this
Yeah.
schematic, and again, when I see the schematic and I look at the money, that's where I freaked out. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
We're not making anything any bigger other than the hole.
Yeah, and so let me just clarify why the lake too at first. So remember, this was done 2 years ago. The stormwater plan just got finished, the master plan. We weren't sure if that was going to help alleviate stormwater or not. So we didn't want to show a lot of stuff on the site and then come back and say, uh-oh, this told us we now need to put a stormwater pond here, because people would have been very disappointed. It's easier to take that pond away and put more amenities in, I think, than take the amenities away and put the pond in.
I would have been all for
So,
the
yeah.
pond if I would have known it would have helped one house
Yeah.
from flooding.
And that's what we found out recently.
But it's not.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's
absolutely.
why I've changed my mind.
Right.
And I'm not saying this needs to be a manicured sports field that we use for what, I just think it'd just be, we could till it and put grass on it, and all you gotta do is mow it. I'm just looking at the maintenance of it, and again, I still think, but because when I look at this picture, there's not any more impervious area that we're putting on this site, but when I looked at this bid, we got $10,000 for a DOT permit.
Yeah,
For
we
what?
don't know yet. We are looking at trying to expand some parking, so I don't know if you've been down to the adult center recently.
I was there Saturday,
Yeah, but
and I talked to
it's packed.
yeah, it is, I
We
get
need more
it.
parking. Yeah.
Okay, so and that requires a DOT permit?
I don't know.
And they're in
I
there
don't
as
know.
options,
Yeah.
so if they don't need it, they don't get paid for it. So
Correct.
it's structured as if these are in there if needed.
All right, again, I've just.
That field's essentially a pond about 40 days a year.
No, I get it. I mean, I understand, but I'm not saying we can't go out there and fix the field up as part of this bond, and just, even if it's just smooth grass, you know what I mean, and that's it. But
You're thinking
I feel
something similar to Riverwalk, how that big open,
just a yard.
yeah, a yard, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
some, and maybe some portion of that ends up being that. That's not a bad idea at all. So.
All right.
No, I
So
do.
again, I just, when I saw this particular schematic and I saw the monies, because this is just for design, guys. This is not including none of the work. We don't know what we're gonna spend on the work. So I'm all for lighting the pickleball courts. I'm all for the parking lot being whatever, a benefit to the space, but I don't wanna lose green space if it's not gonna benefit us.
Understood.
All right. Anybody from the public wish to speak to this? Thank you very much. Come on up.
Yep.
You have to come on up and introduce yourself.
My name's Carol.
That's okay. Come right on up to the mic here. Introduce yourself. Tell us where you live and.
Hi, I'm Carol Gilmore. I live in Port Orange for 22 years, and I live in Pickwick Village. And just listening to this, why can't you just make a family picnic ground out of that big area? So the families can go there, put some swings in, and not make a big deal out of this. I mean, that's all I have to say. I didn't know I was going to have to come up here.
That's okay. We're glad you're standing up there. That's good. That's a good thing.
I really think that the families would enjoy, having a picnic. Get the families back together again. So that's my opinion.
Thank you.
I couldn't keep that shut.
That's okay.
Thank you.
You did great.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to come up? Besides her? Come on, nobody? All right. All right, so back to council. Read anything else?
No, I do think this is, yeah, I'm going to support it, but I want to credit you again, Councilman Green. I do think this is good scrutiny on your part, so I do appreciate that.
Tracy?
I agree with Councilman Foley. They have good thoughts, Lance.
I do as well, and I appreciate the conversation. That's what we're here to do.
Councilman Green?
I'm good.
And just to your comment, Carol, since you really want to make a brief comment, great comment, and that's what this portion that's on here does. It wants to get the input from folks who live in the community. That's exactly what they want to hear, and also try to stay within the parameters of what the bond descriptions were that the voters approved on the ballot last November. So thank you very much. All right, that's it. Clerk, call the roll. We have a motion.
Yes.
And a second already on the floor.
Okay.
Oh, we don't need a roll, do we? On this one?
Yes.
All right, we'll go ahead and call it then.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
No.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Stillner?
Yes, 4-1. Probably a lot of people were told from the Port Orange University graduation group, oh yeah, you'll be up there in about 3 or 4 minutes. Normally that might be the case, right? So, but welcome. That brings us to recognition and proclamations, item 10, Port Orange University graduation certificates. We'll have the PIO come on up and be the master of ceremonies here.
The Dean of Port Orange
The
University.
Dean of Port Orange University.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you put these people through.
Council, Mayor, good evening. Mike Springer, Public Information Officer for the City of Port Orange. I'd like to introduce you behind me the class year of 2025 at Port Orange University. For the last 9 weeks, this group has been touring our facility, seeing the equipment that our staff uses, and talking to staff one-on-one. This is a civics program we've been running at the city here since 2017. And the group here behind me, I can tell you, they are very passionate individuals. They are very civically engaged individuals, and going along with them for these last 9 weeks, I've learned a lot too by going on those tours. But this has been a great opportunity for us, and it's a program we run every year, every March, to give our citizens a chance to see kind of what we do here at the city and a better understanding of how our city runs.
Excellent, excellent. And I heard this group broke the GPA record from all the rest of the.
It was a curve. We got the
You
great.
got every bell. It was a significant bell curve. All right, all right. So we're gonna pass out some certificates, but I'm gonna give the council members an opportunity just to say a few comments, and then we want to get a group picture. And so it's tough in this room with a group this large. So probably what we'll do is we're gonna actually have you guys come up here with us, and so that makes usually for a better picture, and we'll fit in here and we'll make it work somehow. So, but first, before we do that, Councilman Foley.
I just say congratulations. You know, I tell people a lot of times that I think it's one of the best programs we've ever had. It was started by Christine Martindale many years ago now, I feel like, and it's a huge asset to our city. There's nothing I find more amazing than we have residents that want to get involved at this level and really learn about what's going on. And hopefully it's just the beginning of you guys finding a place in Port Orange that you can be involved in the government. You know, we have a couple of boards with vacancies and things, and you know, just consider those as, you know, if you graduate today. We're always looking for people who care enough to be involved and be plugged in. So, and congratulations again.
I say thank you very much for actually attending and coming to the whole 9 weeks. And you left Mike alive. It's great. You know, he does a great job showing everybody what we personally don't know. You don't know until you know it, right? And there's a lot of things that council sits up here and we see things that come in front of us, and we get a small scope picture, and then we have to go and do the investigations and figure things out before we vote on subject matters. And it's difficult, but first step is understanding each piece of the physical city government, and that's what you guys did. So for me, and I know the rest of council up here, thank you for stepping out, coming out, and seeing what the city is all about. Thank you.
Well, I'm a graduate of that university, so you know, congratulations. Is the golf ball still sitting at the wastewater treatment plant on the clear tank? Because you can see it after they've done treating. Isn't that amazing how they take that dirty water and make it clear again? That's amazing. So congratulations, and be careful because you might end up on this side if you
We hope.
get too busy.
Councilman Green.
I'm going to commend same as these guys. Congratulations on doing it. I encourage every citizen in Port Orange to sign up for this class, and hopefully you guys learn some valuable stuff, some inside stuff. You probably learned that we are in fact understaffed, and we do a lot of work in this city with very few people. And you guys went to the water plant, and you went, and hopefully you guys enjoyed your day at the sewer plant, and a good windy day. But hopefully you guys see how much we do with very few people that work for the city, and how hard our city employees work to do what we do here. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. So first, before I forget, I want to thank our staff and the employees that put this together for you guys to really take and give you guys a very unique inside look. And I've never heard of anybody. So don't jinx me tonight. But I've never heard of anybody going through this that could literally say, I didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
I knew everything that they showed us already. And so that is a really neat thing to go through something like this. It's painless, it's enjoyable. You guys have probably made some friends amongst yourselves, which is an added benefit. But you've gotten to see a really unique inside look to the city. That helps us, because now you guys become somewhat of an extension of us. You guys are going to hear things in the community, grocery store, church, social media, whatever that is, and you're going to be the folks now that can say, hey, all you got to do is call over to the water treatment plant or call Councilman Grubbs. or, you know what I'm saying? You guys are, you don't have to, yeah, you don't have to wonder what the answer is. There is a resource that's going to get you that information. And sometimes you'll just be able to answer those questions. Oh, no, here's how this works. And you guys will tell them. So the most important thing for me is that each and every one of you try to find somebody to you encourage to get in the next class, because that's really what we want. And we want to continue to build this program. We have seen the benefits. It is very favorable. We know that. So it's a good thing, and we're going to keep doing it. So we really hope you guys have enjoyed it, and that you will definitely give it a 5-star rating with the folks you come across and enjoy them. And on that note, when's the next one? When can people
Next
start?
March.
Next
So
March.
we have 15
okay.
people signed up already. We
How
have
many?
15. So
Wow.
we have 5 spots left for next year.
All right. Very good. Very good. So
Well
why
done.
don't we get to passing out some certificates and let these folks move on home, unless they want to watch an entire council meeting.
You guys
They're
wanna stay for the
welcome to
whole
stay. So.
All right, Debbie and Lee Barrow.
And if you guys, once you get your certificates, walk on up here. Let's find a place for you to stand, and we'll move our water bottles and make for a nice picture here.
Carol Gilmore. Corey will be next up.
Here, come on over here.
Good job.
Council, we
Good
got
job.
Yeah.
Come all the way over.
Here, why don't you have a seat right there?
Me?
Yeah. Me? Yeah. Have a seat. There you go. We won't all be able to stand, so.
Some of y'all come up on this side too.
Trisha O'Wynn.
Excellent. Great.
Daniel Malador.
That's exactly what we want.
Start sending them this way.
Go that way.
Nobody wants to stand next to me. Come on.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely.
I just got a new thing of deodorant too.
Roland Martin.
A couple of you guys could jump in these chairs right here too. Feel free.
Have a seat. You're sitting there.
Pull that laptop screen down a little bit so we can see your face.
One
when we
way.
take the picture.
You're vice mayor chair.
Vice Mayor.
Literally vice chair.
Cassandra Knapp.
Congrats.
Michael Peoples. Jeffrey Rodriguez. Frank Santiago.
Somebody tell you what I learned. The biggest thing I learned about when we were they got that big fan in there.
Diane Smith.
They got these things, all the good ones. Heard of them on TV too?
Leon Smith.
And the day we were there, Tracy Cubs, completely Tracy Cubs, and all the Tracy Cubs. There's good ones. Those are actually whatever you need. By the end.
Last but not
I took a couple of these and passed them out.
Yeah,
Mary Jane
there you go.
Thompson.
That's why we're there. Spread the word, because sharing is caring.
I was like,
And then Tom Valley.
that costs a lot of money.
Wait, we let Tom in the class?
We did.
Hey, listen.
And Mike survived.
Yeah.
The class clown.
We're gonna have to raise the entry level scores.
Mike, you gotta
Get
be
you
in this too,
in.
don't you?
So,
You gotta be in this too, don't you?
and now that we got you guys all tricked in the seats, this is the part where we slip out the back. Y'all run right. Good luck. Yeah, good luck. All right, let's take a good picture here.
Don't get in yet. Come on in, come on in.
A couple more in the back. Hometown News, you get your picture? You sure? All right. Thank you guys all very much. We appreciate it very much. Thank you guys. Hope you had a great time.
Thank you.
See you later. Take care.
Very
All right. Do a good job.
We're some judge and
I'll be back in a couple hours. See you later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, I'm gonna go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, a spare. In case this meeting gets any longer, almost an hour into it already. Come on, dang it.
Change their email every so I check them out.
Right?
I got like 100 explanation points at the end of my pack. Just keep adding another one.
Y'all don't want to give us the history?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on. We've got item number 11, Professional Municipal Clerks Week. I'm gonna read this proclamation. I'm gonna have our two clerks come on up here and be recognized. They love that. Not really. So.
We like behind the scenes.
That's right. They like to be behind the scenes. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of our local government, exists throughout the world and is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center and focus of local government and community, and whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk throughout participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now therefore I, Scott Stiltner, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, do hereby proclaim the week of May 4th through May 10th, 2025 as Municipal Clerks Week. Thank you guys. Let's move down. I know, right? How about that? All right, don't lose that. All right, spare no expense on that.
Thank you.
I guess I could have given you guys an opportunity for comments, but I know what the answer was going to be. Water Safety Month. Is Christy Gillis here? She's not here this. All right. I'm going to go ahead and read this one. This is a really important one, obviously, being in a coastal community. Whereas swimming and aquatic related activities play an important role in good physical and mental health and enhance the quality of life for all residents and visitors, and whereas drowning is the leading cause of unintentional death amongst children ages 1 through 4 in Florida, which can occur in just a few inches of water, such as a bathtub, bucket, or a home swimming pool. And whereas it is important for everyone, including children, parents, and caregivers, to be aware of water safety rules and programs to prevent drownings and recreational water-related injuries. And whereas Senate Bill 544 in 2024, also known as the Swimming Lesson Voucher Program, was approved by Governor DeSantis on April 15, 2024, to increase water safety and prevent drownings in Florida by providing free swimming lessons to eligible Florida families. And whereas Water Safety Month is an opportunity to increase public awareness of measures in which prevent water-related deaths and injuries, such as installation of barriers, utilization of safety equipment, emergency flotation devices, swimming lessons, CPR, and adult supervision. Now therefore, I, Scott Stiltner, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as Water Safety Awareness Month. And I'll see that you get this to Christy for me. Chris Felder here. This one is for Family Abduction Awareness Day. Proclamation by the City of Port Orange. Whereas a family abduction occurs when a child is taken wrongfully and retained or concealed by a parent or other family member, denying another individual their right to custody or visitation, even in cases with unclear or absent court orders, such as abductions are often driven by the perpetrator's frustration and left behind parent, the legal system, or personal circumstances. And whereas this day is dedicated to raising awareness of those affected by family abductions, those abductions that have created devastating impacts, causing deep emotional and psychological trauma, not only to the abducted children, but also the parent and the extended families that are left behind. Such events often disrupt the family stability and trust, with far-reaching negative effects on the broader community. While non-family abductions account for only 1% of missing child reports to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, family abductions make up a significantly larger share of all of these cases. Whereas the City of Port Orange is committed to remaining vigilant and informed about the dangers facing children in our community, and recognizing that family abductions is a serious crime in all states, not merely a civil matter, law enforcement officers should treat these incidents as severe forms of child abuse rather than minor offenses. And whereas it is incumbent upon law enforcement agencies to have written plans outlining actions and procedures for promptly addressing family abduction cases, courts have determined that law enforcement must ensure children are with their lawful custodians and verify the validity of any court documents, as failure to establish necessary training and policies pose a threat to the general public safety. Now, therefore, I, Scott Stiltner, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, Florida, do hereby proclaim May 25th, 2025 as Family Abduction Awareness Day. And I'll have the clerk get this to them as well. All right. I'm going to let some other people speak for a moment. Moving on to item D, public participation, non-agenda. I have Cameron Van Bon in the Art House. I messed that up, didn't I? Gosh, I'm so sorry. I should have just said Cameron. Welcome.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Thank you for having me here. My name is Cameron Benson. I am Executive Director of Art House Foundation. I am board member of the Volusia County Cultural Alliance, and I sit on the Echo Gallery Advisory Committee. I just wanted to give you a mural update and director's report. Mural work started on January 13th, but due to the timing of the official vote for the murals and the opening of the Volusia County art season, we got a little bit busy with our programming. It is our busiest time of the year. It was a record-breaking quarter for our programming. We held 4 chalk art competitions, 7 exhibition openings, 96 art classes, 4 adult art classes at the Rec, 2 galas, an annual meeting, and 3 days in Tallahassee advocating for the arts, where we got to see our very own Representative Chase Tremont and really give voice to the arts and what we need. We have worked a total of about 19 hours on the mural over a 6-day span in that time. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. I know Don Burnett has posted a picture of it, and I think Tracy Groves was in it. I'm happy to announce that we'll resume this week. We have night and evening scheduling and early morning scheduling so as to avoid the any interference with commerce down there. Our anticipated completion date will be for May 18th. Disney and Universal Studios mural artist Savannah Zanowski will join on the weekends, and Art House staff and volunteers will spread it out over day and night shifts. The unveiling for our first stage of the murals will take place on May 23rd at 8 p.m. during our 29th annual Fun and Funky event honoring former Port Orange Mayor Don Burnett at Dunes Brewery. I'd like to now formally invite you, your invitations are in the mail, to be a part of that unveiling ceremony. To stand there, hold the ropes, and unveil it for our community. We'll have members of the press, our Fun and Funky attendees, Art House staff, board of directors, volunteers, and the Port Orange community. Your invitations, again, will be in the mail, but I wanted to congratulate you as well. What you're doing now is you're making Port Orange history, and you're leaving behind a legacy of beginning an arts district in Port Orange that is soon to be blooming. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I am here.
Any comments?
No, thank you.
What was the date on that?
May 18th is the completion date, but the unveiling and the Fun and Funky event is May 23rd, Friday,
Okay,
May
cool.
23rd.
Nothing says fun and funky like Don Burnett,
Yes.
Yeah, right.
right? So,
Absolutely.
all right. Outstanding. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Be well. Frank B. That one. Come on up, Frank. Welcome. Good evening.
Brought the wrong one.
Good, that's all right.
I hope it's. My name is Frank Belot. I live at 4000 South Clyde Morris Boulevard, better known as Colony in the Wood. Recently, I listened to a podcast past floods, can't read it. Past floods, Volusia County Undercover, dated April 13th, episode number 4. I encourage everyone to listen to this podcast. It's the first one I ever listened to. A resident from our community has done extensive research on our flooding issue. There are 6 or 8 areas that drain stormwater into our bowl, with the last one coming from Hawks Mill across the street. There are 373 homes at 4,000 Clyde Morris Boulevard, Colony in the Ward. A resident has done extensive research in there. Damn it. Bottom line is, we're getting flooded from all directions. We're getting drainage. There's 5 or 6, 7 or 8 areas that are draining into us. It's making our life a hell. Okay? There's a resident that lives there that has done extensive research as to where the water's coming from. The last one that came, pretty much broke and came back, is from Hawks Mill. Since then, we get 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. We get 4 or 5 inches of rain. We'd flood. Our pumps are capable of pumping 12,000 gallons a minute of water away and out. Since Hawks Mill built, we get not quite double that, but it takes 2 or 3 times for our streets to be able to pass. So, is it a coincidence? I don't think so. Okay? It gets so bad at entrance and on Cypress, an emergency vehicle cannot get down there. We can't get out. If somebody is home-ridden, emergency can't get to them. It's a serious problem. I mean, when we had Ian and Milton, yeah, we're gonna get wet. But our HOI guys and the people that live there walk through this deep water to get to the homebound people to help them, because the emergency vehicles couldn't get there. If we get another one, 100-year flood, it's a real problem. I really would like, I don't know how this can happen. I know my time's up. Some communities, City of Port Orange, County, Volusia County, our HOA, and the guy that done this research to get in a room, talk about it, and figure it out. There's a way to do it. I don't know what these guys and you guys do. Last thing I want to say is, you guys, I came in here with it started.
Frank, I'm sorry, buddy. I apologize. I gotta wrap you up.
Thank you guys for what you've done.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? I was gonna come in here, howl it.
Yeah.
But after I listen to this podcast and what you're doing with the stormwater,
We're working on it. Gonna take some time.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Ray D'Amato.
Yes.
Come on up, Mr. D'Amato. Good to see you, sir.
If speaking to your council, I'm placing myself under oath.
All right.
Okay, I got letters from you guys. Hurricane Ian
Yep.
stopped raining. I went out and measured. I had 23 inches of water on my patio. Your response. The structure was inspected by building inspectors. The city determination is that the building has not been substantially damaged. Moving on to Hurricane Ian. I went out and measured. I had 20 inches of water on my patio. Your determination. Based on multiple field measurements of the water level in the park and Hurricane Milton and other pertinent information, the city's determination is that the manufactured home has been substantially damaged. No details as to the measurements, no details as to pertinent information, certainly no details about substantial damage. 20 inches versus 23 inches. We then had a meeting in our clubhouse, and we were asked to speak. The people who chose to speak, it was pretty much unanimous regarding the letters. Made phone calls, no response. Wrote letters, no response. Went to meetings, nothing resolved. One instance, called, spoke to somebody named Jose. He came out, inspected the house, told the woman she had no damage, went wherever the hell he goes to, never heard from again. I am willing to work with Port Orange. I will not be running circles. I will not be jerked around. My time is as important as yours. You're getting paid, I'm not. I want Port Orange, and here I'm throwing the ball back into your court. I would like Port Orange to give me the name and the phone number of an individual who has the ability to resolve things. End of story. I want to resolve it, but I'm not going to be running circles. My time, I'm 79 years old and I'm not getting paid. So I don't even know if whoever signed these letters read them. Because it's 23 inches, your house is fine. 20 inches, no inspection. We took measurements. Where? What was the water level? What's the other pertinent information? What's the damage? Come on, guys. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
No.
Oh, I got my other cards. Thank you.
Robert Reinhagen.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass.
You're gonna pass? That's unusual. All right. And this one's for later, so. All right. Did we have any others? Was it? Okay. Moving on to council comments. Council members, let's start with, start with Councilman Foley tonight.
We got a long meeting. I don't really have anything tonight.
Okay. Councilman Grubbs. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know.
I'd like to waive my time.
Wave your time.
Yeah,
I'm
to
gonna
you.
take some of your time.
Yeah, I see that.
Thank you. So I do have a little bit to cover tonight. First, I would like to apologize to the city that the next council meeting I won't be able to be here. My airline tickets, with the way the airlines have been moving things around, have boosted it 2 days ahead of schedule for me to be gone with my business. So we'll be missing the next 2 meetings. So my apologies to council on that. Moving into some save the dates, things that I just want to touch on is making sure people know that some of the dates that are coming up that are kind of important into the city is what Cameron was talking about with Art House, and I'll just touch on that. May 23rd at Dunes Brewery, the Fun and Funky event honoring our Don Burnett. We also have the Seafood Festival this Sunday, or not this Sunday, 2 weeks from now, May 18th from 12 to 6 p.m. Seafood Festival. And then on June 14th, the Mayor's Golf Tournament. Now, those that might have a chance in golf, I'm not the person. No, I don't have a chance in this. One of the things that just came out on the flyer that they added to it, which I thought is really, really worthy to say, is Atlantic Marine has donated a boat for the hole-in-one competition. So I don't know how good y'all are. I know I don't have a chance, but there's that possibility. That's on June 14th for the Mayor's Golf Tournament, which is a great event, and I know you'll talk about that as far as everything that proceeds go to.
Well, since you're on that topic, I'll just interject that there's also a car dealership that is looking to donate a vehicle for a hole-in-one prize.
So maybe it's a truck to pull the boat.
That's the concept. Go ahead.
All right, and this next one, I want to caveat that I'm not singling somebody out, but I am to a certain degree. There's a lot of great people that worked for the city over the years that have retired with the city. But I do want to mention one individual. He not only tirelessly worked for the city before he was a city employee, he was in the tree business, contracted to the city quite a while, and then came on staff to the city. This individual has dedicated, in my mind, over 40 years of community service, not as a city employee, but as a community person involved with Port Orange. Saying that, he was also one of the many individuals that helped the city of Port Orange purchase over 10,000 acres for land acquisition and preservation. And a lot of people don't know we have a forest that the city actually owns west of 415. He retired officially, and I would like to say thank you for his time in the community and his time that he has dedicated to the city while he was working as a city employee, and not slate anybody else that has retired, but for this individual, I've got to know him in the 2 years that I've been on council. Anytime I had somebody asking me about a tree question, this was the guy I called, and that was Steve Edgar. And Steve, thank you very much, sir.
Steve Edgar, City Forester, retired, and I just wanted to thank you all for being allowed to be a part of something really, really unique and special. You stand on really tall shoulders. It's amazing what the city's accomplished in the day-to-day. Don't forget that you guys have accomplished something really, really remarkable, and it goes on.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Sign up for the mayor's golf tournament.
You got a lot of time on your hands.
What else you got?
I got two more things.
Go ahead.
This was brought up to me by a business owner, and it deals with business signage. And this is something that I want council to understand, is if you own a business in Port Orange, sometimes it's difficult to keep the beauty with all of our trees and everything else before it covers up our signage. I'm not saying take the trees down, the beauty down. I think those are more than needs to be there. So don't hear me wrong on this one. But the signage is an invaluable tool to promote our local businesses. Inside that, there has been some LED signs put up. Those LED signs have been coded with the time that they may switch from one panel to another at approximately 60 seconds. It's an old code that was put out there. If you're sitting at a stoplight, that means you get to see maybe one business on a kiosk if it's a plaza. If it's sitting there at a stoplight, it's about a minute to a minute and a half, depending on where you're sitting at. That means you get to see maybe one, possibly two. What I'm asking council to look at, to hopefully be able to bring back to the table in June 17th, is to look upon the codes and the possibility of 20 to 30 seconds on that signage. That way somebody might be able to have in a plaza 2 or 3 businesses to be seen with the technology that we have. It's an exposure that we need for drive-by traffic. That's what helps our business thrive. I think as a council, that is something that needs to be looked at. So if we can bring it back to the table for council to look at in June 17th, I would like you guys to make a motion on this.
Let me just interject that I think we should, I think there's some other things to look at in the sign ordinance. And I'm wondering if maybe we would be better off workshopping it and looking, because I actually got a call the other day about something totally unrelated to that. And having been on council for a while, I will tell you, as marketing strategies change, sign strategies change, technology changes a lot, that it is probably actually something we should take more of a holistic look. So if you're not opposed to that, let's try to see if we can find a workshop and just give our community development staff a chance. They've done a good job with that. How long, Wayne, do you remember about how long that's been? I know it hasn't been
3 years?
The original change went back to well before I ever went back up to North Carolina, because
Yeah.
we did that with Debbie in the chamber.
pretty extensive.
In my earlier days upstairs. So that was probably a decade ago when we did that. Sean's probably on the committee that we did it with, where there was a number of changes that came through, and Councilman Vice Mayor Grubbs is correct that that was written so long ago, that was just brand new to allowing LED signs. And so just the idea of going to LED signs was a pretty big change in Port Orange. So the amount of time that they had to hold was put in there fairly conservatively at the time. We also have fairly restrictive on those monument signs, a limited number of tenants that you can put in there. So some of the bigger shopping centers, like I forget the name of the one that's up here at Herbert and Clyde Morris, it's got a ton of tenants. That was one of the ones where that allowed them to put more of their tenants on that sign and change them out over time. So that was the compromise. Instead of still signs that only maybe got 4 of the tenants, they were able to change it. So we kind of at the time thought at some point in the future you might shrink that time down. So it's something we thought might happen.
Yeah, if you guys are okay with that, let's get it on a workshop, because I've also got a couple of things to have staff look at so I think it'd be good just to let's take a holistic look at it, get it in a workshop, and
anything we do, the sign code does have to go back through the planning commission. So in order to get it to you to vote on, it would have to go through the planning commission.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But let's take a look at it. All right, thanks. What else you got, Jason?
Okay. And then lastly is we had this information come out to you guys late last night. We had email from Wayne that came to us dealing with the update with Tyler, dealing with the water bill and how people are going to come back in and re-implement into Tyler. What we're going to talk about now is dealing with the water bill and how it gets put out to our citizens. We started this process literally October of 23 is when I pulled this up and had this conversation. This has been a 1.5-year process for me to get this out here. Council talked about it. We've had a change in council, so I'll talk about this and revisit this again so we can talk about it. But ultimately what it is, it's saving the taxpayers money. How do we do that? And being a business person, I constantly pinch pennies. But when we have 29,000 utility customers, that penny adds up fast. How fast? Well, in the flyer that we sent out to you guys, it's approximately 29,000 people are utility customers. Out of that, 15,400 people still get a paper bill. When we take an average cost back then at 89 cents, that's the stamp, the envelope, and the piece of paper mailed to them. That's $165,000 a year being spent to mail a piece of mail. But that was in 23 when we did that figure. In 23, the stamp was 68 cents. We are now going into July 13th. If you don't know, the stamp goes up again, but we've had a stamp increase between this last time. So we've actually taken a 10 cents increase in the last 1.5 years. What's 10 cents do? 10 cents changes that figure of $165,000 that we're going to spend $183,000. $20,000 is what we're talking about here, increasing in mailing the water bill. The proposal that I did back then is the same proposal that I'm saying now, is that people need to be on auto drafting and having that bill emailed to them. If they decide not to, it shouldn't be the tax burden of all the citizens as a collective to be able to have that. There's other companies, FPL is one, Duke Energy is one. There's credit card companies that do the same thing of having, if you want a paper bill, it's from $1 to $5. I'm not saying $5. I think we need to cover our cost on it so we're not making money on it. But we shouldn't be paying out more than what we should. My proposal is for y'all to ask your citizens about this proposal, look at this, bring it back to a motion that we propose for council on June 17th to review this, because on July 1st, our water bill goes into the Tyler system. When that goes, it would be nice to have that seamless, that we don't have to come back in and re-implement into the same process again. We already have the system up and running. It's transferring July 1. We might as well make this as July 1 as we go forward, the same process. to save the taxpayers $183,000 a year. I know we constantly try to figure out how to trim and find money. This is a no-brainer. This is very simplistic. And we're not trying to cut somebody out that they do not have to go digital. There's a way for them to still get paper. The difference is it may cost them $1.50, $1.75, whatever it is. But we have now waited 18 months, and it has increased $20,000 in 18 months without us even looking at it. So computer system's here. Let's implement it so we can move forward. So I'd like to make a motion with council to re-review this on January 17th so we can talk about it, vote on it, so hopefully in July we can save the citizens of Port Orange money.
Second.
You have a motion and a second? Any discussion? Reed?
I mean, as long as we're just bringing this forward to actually vote on it at July 7th.
Yes, motion,
June
motion is to
7th.
put it on an agenda for a night.
Yeah, I don't even know if we need a motion for that, but I have no issue with it. Do we need a motion for that?
I think you just need direction to tell me that's what you want me to do.
I'm fine with that direction.
Good?
Everybody good with that?
Good with it for being on an agenda item for discussion?
I wanted to discuss what he was talking about before the motion
ahead.
was made.
Go ahead.
So I thought that within the water bill itself, we were already covering the cost of mailing it. Am I not correct in that?
No, you are.
So,
We have to be really careful about this, right, Matt? Because we're starting to discuss something that may come before us, even though it's open.
We're discussing it amongst ourselves now. We're fine.
You're fine.
Okay.
I mean, the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're already charging the citizen who's getting a paper bill for the mailing of it.
So when we did the rate study a while back, we'd increased the rates. There is some amount of that taken into account. I can't say that we did it to cover completely the cost of it. I don't think that was, the point wasn't to 100% cover the cost of the mailing. So similar to the credit card bill thing where we don't do the surcharge and pass that on. So we were aware it was there, but we didn't ask them in the rate study to make sure that they cover the cost. So this is utility fees. It's utility rate payers that are subsidizing that cost. So all the savings would go to back to your utility.
So my other concern, and there, I mean, if we make it, it's still going to be optional. You can still get a paper bill. You're just going to pay a little more, and that averages, is it $1.25 a month, or is it what they're going to pay a year?
That'd be probably about $1.25. At the going rate as of right now, with the increase in July 13th, when the postal service goes up, your rate and the stampage and everything, you'll be right at 99 cents. It's $1.
There is so much fraud going on right now electronically that the last thing I mean, it's not like I'm going to be forcing our citizens to go all electronic, but I don't encourage it, because there is every day, I'm hearing it all throughout the state, fraud on elderly people, fraud on young people who are getting text messages, they're getting email messages, they're opening these things up, and now we're going to give them one more opportunity to go after how many people?
Well,
I mean,
currently right now, you got 14,000 people that are already doing it electronically.
yeah, so now they're going to get, if the criminal activity on $14,000 increase, the criminal activity on 14,000 people increases with an opportunity that, hey, this is your water bill, and it's not their water bill. If they choose to go, but they can choose not to do it, just going to pay for it.
Correct. But I would also look at that, Councilman, is the permits that everybody does inside the city is electronic, and they pay with a credit card. That is captured through the credit card processing service.
Mm-hmm.
So that is already being done, and it has been here.
Yeah.
You're over $900 million being done with a credit card and the county dealing with all your property taxes.
Yeah.
So there's large chunks here, and I get it, and I understand both sides and the fear of it. But ultimately, when we're coming down to tax season, you're sitting there looking at millage rates and increases. One of the things that I want to stress to is how do we safely and worthiness of a citizen telling them that we're increasing when we could decrease bills to them. It's all tax base, and it's a concern. So I look at every penny possible, and this is why I said I want to put this out there to the 17th. That way you have all your constituents between now and the 17th to have those conversations with them. So when we come back to re-talk about this on the 17th, you've had those conversations with your citizens.
Good for now?
Yeah, I'm good for now.
Right.
Mr. Grubbs, in that analysis of the, 98 cents, let's just say it's $1, does that include labor? That doesn't include labor for somebody to have to put that
It's
envelope.
it's electronic.
It's all
It's
electronically
actually done.
billed? Okay.
Yeah.
I already know that. Okay. That's
Yeah.
all I got on that issue.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we've got at least enough interest. We'll bring it back for an agenda item discussion. My thing that,
There's a motion on the floor.
All
We
right.
either need to withdraw it or vote on it.
we'll vote on it. Give me 1 second. So we'll, and I applaud Tracy for always looking, even if, maybe there's going to be some different perspectives. My thing is like there's almost this thing that happens sometimes when they build college and high school campuses where they don't put sidewalks everywhere and they wait to see the path that everybody takes. It kills all the grass, and they're like, okay, we need a sidewalk there because that's where everybody goes. And in some degree, that's what's happened. The majority of our residents who could do this electronically have already, to some degree, spoken and said they don't want to do it electronically. So that's why that's why they've chosen to keep getting the paper copy. So, but let's have a discussion of it. My biggest concern is a lot of our residents, our seniors and stuff like that. They don't pay their bills on their smartphones or their computers and tablets like that. But I think it's worthy of having it on an agenda item. Personally, that's what I think, and let's have the discussion. So, all right, you want to do a roll call vote, right?
No, you can do a voice vote.
Okay. So all in favor of having this on an agenda? Do we need public comment on this one? Anybody in the public want to speak to it real quick?
Voting right now.
Okay, back to council. All in favor for having this item on the agenda, what is it, June 17th?
June 17th.
June 17th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Nay?
Aye, nay.
4-1.
All right.
Welcome to the conversation.
Yeah. So I was having a nice conversation with a resident. Actually, it was several residents up at Jackie Robinson Stadium last week, and the wonderful compliments they made about our city and how much they love living here. And when they come off 95, and it's the setbacks and the trees, they love the trees. And our forester's retiring. Hopefully, he's got a good replacement. But it was so nice to hear that. And then I drive through the city and I start seeing things. I'm like, oh, what are we doing? So, and I know there's other people that see things, signs knocked down, which happens quite often with vehicles driving around town. Signs that we talked about monument signs that we require a certain height, a certain look, got to be painted when they open that business. And then all of a sudden, 3-4 years later, they're molded and they don't look that good. And for some reason, I've got these wide goggles and I'm seeing all this stuff. And I have brought it up to Wayne's attention and our assistant manager's attention. And I know we have a new code enforcement team, and I'm excited about that. And I know they're going to be very aggressive on it. And it's one thing building a beautiful city or building a beautiful community. It's another maintaining it. And when we talk about, well, yeah, it all costs money to maintain it, or that all costs, staff, and I don't care. People love this city. No one's complaining to me about how much money it costs them to live in this city. They just want it to be the best city. They want it to be the safest. They want it to be the services that our firefighters provide to be prompt. They want to have good sidewalks, they want to have good parks. I don't hear anyone complain about how much money they have to spend to live here. So I really want us going into a budget season thinking about that. We're talking about saving the city money. At the same time, we might have to spend some money because we had a family here, 2 of them, talking about flooding. And not many people are complaining about that anymore. And they left before I could actually speak to them because I'm not going to interrupt their 3 minutes. But if you're going to come and speak to us, please stick around so we can talk to you too as well. I know we try not to interrupt 3 minutes, but it's important that people understand that we care. And there's a lot that can be done in this city, and I know we're working towards it to keep it one of the best cities in the county. It's great to hear the comments, and it's good to hear that we got a new code enforcement gentleman, and so we're working on it. I know that there's been new sidewalks being laid out all throughout the city, and I see in the newsletter. I appreciate that, and let's just keep it heading in the right direction. That's all I have.
That's it?
Yeah.
Councilman Green.
A couple things tonight. The first thing I want to bring to light is we approved a landscape maintenance contract today on consent that saved us about $100,000, and I think that you know, we vote on things on this consent and people don't really know what they're all about and how the votes work. But we saved $100,000 and on lawn maintenance. That's a big deal. And again, I want to commend staff on putting those things out there. And you know, they've tightened up these bids and these bid openings and what we're doing, and it's working. It's saving money, and I think that's very important. We let people know. A couple of things, other things. I went to the Touch a Truck thing that was out here at the City Circle over the weekend, and I got to tell you, I don't know if it was for old men like myself or for little kids, but everybody enjoyed it. It was really good to see the amount of vendors that came out that were involved, the amount of volunteers that were out here for a little event for our city for kids and big kids to come out and look at big trucks. It was pretty cool. I saw in the newsletter where we are going to HOAs and we are going to neighborhoods and we are talking to residents about these scams. And again, after last meeting and the lady who worked at the Circle K who helped those folks not get scammed out of that money, I was very touched by that. And now that I see that we are going out neighborhoods and neighborhoods talking to people about these scams, and I encourage our residents to stay on the newsletter, find out where these little meetings are going to be, and go to them. So nothing hurts me, nothing makes me feel worse than an elderly person getting scammed out of their hard-earned retirement funds there's so many scams out there, and as you said, they're out there. But I think it's important that we continue to go out into the community and talk to the people about things. It was a big deal. I don't know if you guys all recognize, but in the house, in the state house, they passed where they're going to take fluoride out of the water.
Yeah.
So that particular thing is going to be going to the governor's desk, and more than likely it'll be in our desk here by around July. And I know we've already written it up of how it's going to go down. So I know we
won't come to us.
No.
No, if he signs it on July 1.
So it doesn't come to us at all?
We
have to.
Yeah, we still have a resolution that currently says that we do it, so I think it would be best practice to go ahead and repeal that
But
practice.
we can't do it if the state says
Correct.
no.
Yeah, just
So
to
it's
clean
a
it
done
up.
deal. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
No meaning to interrupt
But
you,
again, it's coming. And if you go down to page 2497, you'll find that written in that bill somewhere. But other than that, I just want to appreciate, again, thanks to staff for everything you guys do, and looking forward to the next one.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Wayne, just a note for you and I know we've talked about this, and honestly, I take the responsibility of not getting some meetings scheduled, but I really want to find some times to get those HOA meetings that we've been talking about. We've got a really good, well, I think it's a really good idea. The city staff they've gone in and updated all the contacts as much as we can to the HOA communities that are in our city. And we've had this idea of hosting them to come into City Hall and have at least myself, the city attorney, and Wayne and a couple other staff folks, because there's been changes in legislation over the years that impact the HOAs, and also we want to try to be having a little bit of a better relationship to get information out there. A lot of the HOAs struggle with understanding what's their responsibility, what's the property owner's responsibility, what's our responsibility, and things like that. So the best way to do that, I think, is to get them in and invite them, and we've had some, it's kind of gotten overcome by events, but it's something that's been on our plate. So let's you and I connect and try to find some dates and get that ball moving. Just a quick comment, I had it on here, Councilman Green touched on the Bright View contract for the landscaping. I think they were a vendor on this same project area previously. The only thing I will stress with staff is bidding a contract and presenting a price and winning a contract because of price sometimes inherently involves them cutting corners. And so my expectation is that there is a lot of oversight from our staff to make sure that corners are not cut. Whatever the contract says they have to do, their feet are held to the fire. In the past, we've had some issues where we hear, well, you know, they were allowed to do that last time, or this and that, and lots of excuses. And so, you know, how the city looks is important to a lot of our residents. So I just want to make sure that the message is clear from council that when you, congratulations that you've won this contract, but now you've got to perform what the contract says. So I know staff has done a lot of work, and I applaud that and appreciate tightening up some of the language in the contract, because I think in the past, Wayne, I know you and I had this conversation a few years ago, there's just too much wiggle room for interpretation, and staff has done a nice job tightening that up, so I appreciate that. So, all right, moving on to item 15. Mr. City Attorney, tell us what we've said wrong.
Nothing to add tonight?
Man, pretty good. Item 16, Mr. City Manager, how about you?
I don't have anything additional.
All right, thank you, sir. Moving on to board appointments, interviews, and reports. Item 17, Environmental Advisory Board report. John, what's happening? Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Come on up.
John Macaluso, Environmental Advisory Board Vice Chair. Before I start on that, Mr. Green, Councilman Green, it's a great point on the HOAs. We had 2 representatives from Port Orange Police come to our HOA and talk to us about scams and fraud. Outstanding. Go at it, get to the other HOAs and get them all to understand what's going on out there. Good job by the police department. Environmental Advisory Board, we're getting busy. We've been busy. We have an Adopt a Drain program. We're moving forward with our plans to have a resident Adopt a Drain program. Basically, our city engineer, Mr. Reed, joined us last night for our meeting and gave us an overview of what Daytona Beach is doing. They've been in this program for about 6 months. And it's getting a resident or residents to commit to keeping the drains clean. Of course, safely, not during the middle of a hurricane. This is prior to when warnings come, or just in general. And there's a company that has sent us some information, which does this nationwide, consulting firm. And we're going to put our plan together and get some budgetary numbers and submit it to the city manager for his review. And we'll go from there on that. Other projects we're working on is the plant giveaway. Last year during the Fall Festival, we gave away trees to our residents. This year we're doing the same, but we're looking at bushes. We're looking at typical native bushes that would draw butterflies. We thought that would be a good idea. So this is, again, it's going to be open to all the residents, and it'll be at our Fall Festival. We're not quite sure what bushes are yet. We're looking to see what our local vendors have in stock, but we'll figure that out. If you're familiar with our garden, we planted a garden. Environmental Advisory Board, our volunteers put a garden together just on the north side of the Chamber of Commerce building. We're maintaining that. We're actively seeking funds for some benches and also for a border around it, so we don't have to go there and pick the weeds around the side. But it's a nice place to go and sit, take a look at the river, and the plants are doing just fine on their own. They're all native, by the way, so no maintenance. Okay, we have a water goat. Everybody knows what a water goat is. We have a water goat on the small canal feeding at the intercoastal by the same side, the north side of the chamber building. It's doing its job, as evident by the storms in November, or during the fall, I should say. With the trash, we haven't weighed the amount of trash we pull out of there, but it's considerable. So it's stopping this trash from heading into the river. If you all get a chance, take a look at it. What it is, it's a big inflatable net, and as the trash hits it, pushes it to the side of the river, and also catches anything else. Vacancies. We do have a vacancy on our board. We'd like to have it filled as soon as possible if we could. Now, on a personal note, some of you know that I'm also appointed to Volusia Forever and Volusia Echo. So keep those Echo applications coming in. Keep an eye on the calendar because the dates do change for some of the programs. But it's, as you know, Echo, we've done a lot of Echo work here in the city of Port Orange. I want to continue that. Forever, which if you're not familiar with Forever is basically for land conservation. So if you know any farms or any large parcels, even small parcels of property that you would like Volusia County, Volusia Forever to look at purchasing, for conservation or for passive recreation. Get a hold of Volusia Forever, the staff, and we look at those applications the meeting after the application is submitted. So just something I just wanted to highlight before I forget. Okay, any questions, comments?
John, I'd like you to do me a favor. The next time you come to speak, if you don't mind,
Yes.
because I've seen the numbers for Volusia Forever and they're staggering. They're
Yes.
impressive. I like them a lot. So if you get a chance, one of your times coming to see us, if you could get the historical numbers on how much has been purchased through Volusia Forever and just come back and put that on the record.
Sure.
I'm not going to put you on the spot and do it tonight, but it's impressive. It is very, very impressive. And I think there's still a lot of people who don't know that and how much.
That's a great point,
It's a
Eric.
story we should keep telling because, the voters reapproved Florida Forever.
Yeah, we just
That's right.
taxpayers and the voters just reapproved it in 2020 for another 20 years
And it works.
by 72%.
Yeah.
And that includes Echo. And you're absolutely right on PR because people don't know these programs exist.
Yeah.
And on Forever, we're actually out there soliciting properties to get some activity going.
I think it's impressive the number when you say specifically this many acres has been acquired to be in preservation.
Will do.
And that's pretty cool. So
Sure thing.
hang on one second,
Any
John.
questions?
Anybody else got anything for John? Go ahead,
Uh,
Tracy.
John,
Councilman.
one of the things that you said is dealing with the butterfly gardens and things of that nature. If you get with Volusia County Parks, they actually have a group that's their master gardeners. That's all they do is the different plant lives and dealing with butterflies and reestablishing that to them. So there's actually a group out there that already does that, and I can get you in contact with them.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service, John. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I wanted to say thank you, John, for your work on this, and the Rotary Club of Port Orange South Daytona may be interested in providing those benches.
Yeah,
Those
we
spent
have to,
every
we have to
Tuesday.
come and approach the group and that's one of our objectives.
All right,
Before
feel free
the
to give me a
summer's
call,
over.
and I'll put you with the right.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Have a good night. All right, item 18, Fire Pension Board appointment. The fire pension needs a 5th member, and it looks like Chris Taylor has been asked to be reappointed to that. So kind of ministerial, but need a motion to reappoint Chris Taylor.
Move to appoint Chris Taylor, reappoint Chris Taylor.
And second?
Any other nominations? No? All right. Call the roll or voice vote?
Call the roll on that one. Either one.
All in favor to reappoint Chris Taylor to continue being the 5th member of the Fire Pension Board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Like sign. 5-0. Congratulations, Chris. Brings us to the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting. Item 19, second reading of ordinance number 2025-09. Mr. City Attorney, take it away.
An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida relating to comprehensive planning, amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, amending the future land use fluid designation for plus or minus 1.2 acres from commercial to mixed-use center, authorize transmittal to required agencies, providing for conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Can I have a motion to approve second reading for ordinance number 2025-09?
Move to approve item 19.
With the one that has ordinance number 2025-09?
Yeah, well, you read it out loud, so I didn't
Okay.
think you needed
Go
that from
ahead.
me.
Second.
Any comments from council? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to council.
Mayor, we did
Oh,
have
we did one. Oh, Robert. How'd I miss you in the bright yellow shirt, my friend? Come on up.
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive North. I want to repeat what I said the
Go
first
ahead.
reading. And in the packet, the agenda packet, it says the proposed new 6 parking spaces along the east side of the Halifax Drive are intended to service the 12-slip marina at 4084 Halifax Drive and are not anticipated to be high turnover spaces, but rather vehicle parking for an extended period of time. Now, it sounds to me like they want to take public parking that's on the public right-of-way and reserve it for the marina. And I think that would be just totally inappropriate and maybe even illegal. So I suggest that you do not permit that. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Anybody else from the public wish to speak? All right, back to council. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Steltner?
Yes, 5-0. Item 20, second reading of ordinance number 2025-10.
That's an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, rezoning property consisting of plus or minus 0.58 acres from community commercial to Catfish Commons planned commercial development, approving the second restated master development agreement Catfish Commons planned commercial development MDA and conceptual development plan, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Can I have a motion, please?
Move to approve ordinance number 2025-10.
Second.
All right. Council, any comments on second reading
No.
for this one?
No.
Anybody in the public wish to speak on this one? No? All right, back to council. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Steltner?
Yes, 5-0. Item 21, second reading of ordinance number 2025-12.
It's an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, rezoning property consisting of plus or minus 1.23 acres from planned commercial development, PCD, to professional office, PO, authorizing revision of the official zoning atlas and providing an effective date.
Can I have a motion?
Move to approve ordinance number 2025-12.
And second.
Any comments from council?
No.
Any comments from the public? Back to council. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Steltner?
Yes, 5-0. Item 22, second reading of ordinance number 2025-13.
That's an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, rezoning property consisting of approximately plus or minus 5.38 acres from planned commercial development, PCD, to community commercial, CC, authorizing revision of the official zoning atlas and providing an effective date.
Have a motion, please?
Move to approve ordinance number 2025-13.
Second.
Any comments, council, on second reading?
No.
Anybody from the public wish to speak to this one? Back to council. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Steltner?
Yes, 5-0. Approved. Brings us, look at this, she is on it. Item 23, first reading of ordinance number 2025-14. Can I get a motion and a second to put this on the floor?
I'll go ahead and read that one. An ordinance
I'm
of the
sorry,
City
go
of Port
ahead.
Orange, Volusia County, Florida, annexing approximately plus or minus 56.5 acres of property located west of Airport Road and north of Charles Street, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Now how about a motion and a second to put it on the floor?
Move to approve ordinance number 2025-14.
Second.
Motion and a second. Good to see you, Penelope.
Good evening, Penelope Cruz, Planning. Just ask you to bear with me. I've been fighting this cold for 4 weeks now, so I might need to tag team Tim in if I get into a
All right.
coughing fit, so just bear with me. The applicant is requesting to voluntarily annex 56.5 acres currently located in unincorporated Volusia County on the west side of Airport Road and north of Charles Street. Florida law requires when somebody wants to voluntarily annex property into a municipality that it meets 3 criteria. Staff report on file certifies that the area meets these criteria. The first being it's contiguous to the city of Port Orange boundary, it's reasonably compact, and not currently part of the incorporated area of another municipality. Also pursuant to Florida statutes, once a property has been annexed into the city has the responsibility to change the future land use and zoning to a city land use from the county designations. If the annexation is approved tonight, the applicant intends to, in the near future, apply to change the future land use of the property from Volusia County Agricultural Resource and Urban Low Intensity to City of Port Orange Rural Transition, which is a 0 to 2 units per acre category, and apply to rezone the property to planned unit development in order to establish the development framework for a subdivision with up to 113 single-family homes, designed and with a density and a layout of 2 units per acre, similar to what's across the street at Water's Edge. City departments have reviewed the proposed annexation, and an impact analysis has been prepared in the staff report, and the annexation shows that it is able to meet adequate capacity for infrastructure and services for the proposed subdivision that is going to be proposed if it's annexed, if the annexation is approved. Excuse me. I do want to note, because we haven't had an annexation in a long time, it's been several years since we've had a voluntary annexation. It has been reviewed, like I said, for the 3 Florida statute criteria for location. That's what the staff report covers. That's what the analysis covers when annexations come forward. It meets those criteria. The impact analysis shows that we have the capacity to handle the proposed development that's to come if it is annexed. However, I do want to note that an annexation is not a quasi-judicial decision that must be based on competent and substantial evidence, similar to other applications that you see that come before you, like land use amendments and zoning. A voluntary annexation is a legislative decision, and what that means is that any action of the council can be based on any legitimate public concern regarding how the annexation could affect the city or surrounding evidence, surrounding areas. So with that, I just want to put up what the next steps would be if the annexation were to be approved. It would, if it's approved today on first reading, it would have a second reading. That would be on June 17th. Thereafter, the applicant would be required to submit the future land use amendment application and the rezoning application for the PUD that's proposed. Those 2 items would go through the Staff Development Review Committee. Once there's no significant comments, it would come forward to public hearings. Once those applications are submitted, within 10 days, staff would go out and post the properties on all 3 sides where there's roads, Airport Road, Charles, and Russell Road. The developer is required to also lead a neighborhood meeting prior to the items coming to Planning Commission, prior to them coming to their first public hearing, in order to get that feedback from the neighborhood and make any adjustments to their proposals. Thereafter, excuse me, thereafter it would start the public hearing process. Planning Commission for both items, first reading at City Council. There would be a break at that point to transmit the land use amendment to the Volusia Growth Management Commission. There's a 30-day review. Then they would both come back for second reading. And at that point, if those 2 items are approved, they would submit their subdivision plat and plans to develop the subdivision. So staff is here to answer any questions you may have about the annexation or any future process coming forward there, and the applicant is here and would like to speak as well.
Okay, so but I think you're right. I think in my little over 10 years on city council, this has only happened 1 time that I can think of. Maybe 2, right? But not very many.
We had like 2008, we had our Bruner Road property where we're
Yeah.
doing our, and we've had like 1 or 2 small ones here and there, but not many.
You know how long
We
ago
don't go out and annex property. We only do voluntary.
You know how long
annexation.
ago 2008 was, right?
2018, sorry, not
Okay.
2008, sorry.
All right. So anyhow, council, this is something that doesn't happen very often. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask questions to staff, so we're going to start with Councilman Green.
I don't have anything from the staff yet.
Okay.
I don't have anything either.
Sorry, Penny, I do.
Okay.
Penny, I'm reading into this and I'm just making sure I'm reading it right. If it stays in county's hands, the density that they can do is they could do up to 4 homes per acre.
It
Where-
basically comes out to about 19 homes, something like that.
Yeah, where
Total.
I'm looking at, in the rural transition, it comes down to 2 homes per acre if it gets annexed by us. But in that transition up at where it says Volusia County Urban, low intensity is 0 to 4 units per acre.
But then there's a portion of the property that's got a lower density, so not all of it has the same.
Can you clarify that in a little bit more depth, what you're talking about? Because I believe what Councilman Groves is talking about is the total acreage is 56.5.
The total acreage is
But there's
56.5.
two different.
Yes.
Okay, if you could
Yes,
clarify that for us.
Yes, there's 2 different categories on the property. Excuse me. One of them allows up to 4 units per acre, and we always analyze the theoretical max.
And how many acres is that? Isn't it like 3.5 acres or something that allows that?
Yeah, I think I have that in here. So
3.5.
we've got,
3.57.
it's got about, apologize, 52.96 acres has agriculture resource, which is a really low density. It's 1 unit per 10 acres. So the majority of it is 1 unit per 10 acres. And then there's a portion of it, 3.5 acres, 3.57 acres, that has the urban low intensity, which is up to 4 units per acre. So the total that it would yield is 19 units right now as a whole in the county.
Is that the question?
Yep.
What else you got?
That's it for now.
That's it?
Yep.
Councilman Foley?
Yeah, I'm good till I hear from the applicant.
Okay. So obligations after annexation. What are our legal obligations after annexation in terms of establishing a land use? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so once it's annexed, we don't have jurisdiction to implement, to enforce our land development code until we apply a city future land use on the property, and then obviously for it to be able to do anything with the land, zoning. So if you annex a property and you don't then provide the city's land use and zoning, you're kind of in a no man's land where it's in the city, but our hands are tied. We don't have jurisdiction to do anything.
Okay.
So that's state law actually requires us to apply those after.
So then what would be the options when we apply the FLU?
The property owner applies and requests, and we analyze that.
Okay.
The policy historically
But ultimately, who determines that? Does the council determine that, or the property owner determines that? I know the property owner.
The property owner
says,
makes
"This
the
is what I would
request.
like."
Yes, the property owner makes the request. It comes before the planning commission and the council, and that's your quasi judicial where you take a vote, but that has to be based on substantial evidence, right? And so what the city has historically looked at as a general policy has been to recommend approval for categories that are compatible and consistent with the surrounding area, which is why when they first came and talked to us, we said we really wouldn't even consider anything above the 0 to 2 unit per acre, because that's what's across the street, right? Nothing denser than that. We've had people look at this property in the past that wanted to do a lot higher density, and it's just not compatible. It's not what we would entertain and probably bring before you based on the history of how the city's done things. This graphic here kind of shows you what that density is in that area. You can see across the street, Water's Edge is 2 units per acre. Just north of the property, there's an ALF. It's got 80 beds, so it's different. It's not really a density. There's just above that, there's the Whispering Woods condominium, which is 8 units per acre. And then behind it, there's a mobile home subdivision in the county that's at 2.4 units per acre. Spruce Creek Fly-In's at 3 units per acre. So the 0 to 2 units per acre is consistent and compatible with that surrounding area for what they are proposing if the annexation is approved.
All right, that's good for now. Let's hear from the applicant.
Okay, turn this off.
Good evening, Joey Posey, 420 South Nova, attorney for the applicant. And I appreciate the time staff has put into this. I think I disagree with staff to a little bit of an extent as to the purview of the council and their decision-making when it comes to future land use. Of course, it's quasi-judicial, but again, the ultimate decision makers are you guys, that in terms of the application of future land use. And, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, I guess is what I'm saying. And that, an analysis hasn't occurred on the future land use side. There's, I think for full transparency, the reason those numbers were floated out there because that was conceptually what this applicant was looking to do. That doesn't mean that's a ceiling. That is not where we end up at the end of the day. That isn't where these entitlements will take us. But in terms of transparency on our end, that was the goal. And you really do have two layers to this. In terms of future land use and compatibility, it isn't a one-size-fit-all. That there's conditionally compatible plenty of categories that I'm sure that when you apply the policies for this piece of property, again, our impression would be that 0 to 2 would be an appropriate category. But again, that's a conversation that's way out into the future. The second part of this that's true is in terms of your flexibility on how the application of the code would occur with the zoning level. And again, the 113 is a theoretical max. We have had plenty of discussions in terms of issues that we've identified that are city concerns in terms of stormwater, in terms of master planning for how these things would lay out. And it's been unbelievably conceptual on our end, and that the first step to get to the phase where we start putting all of that engineering to work and trying to design a project that everybody working together can achieve, that comes after this step. So, again, I don't want to give the impression that this is a blessing in disguise, more or less, but I think at the what staff is trying to do is that we're trying to be transparent about where we are at, and at the end of the day, it's a ceiling. So it's not something that we're here tonight to say that these are the numbers and this is where we're at. We're just here to say, is this property more appropriately under the jurisdiction of the city, or is the property more appropriately under the jurisdiction of the county? That's tonight's question. So we're available for any other questions you may have. Again, we're very conceptual at this point. We have the engineer. We felt that it was necessary to bring him too, if there's specific questions, talking generally about the annexation, but and also the applicants here too. So I at least wanted to make those points.
Stay right there. Councilman Grubbs.
I'm good.
I apologize. I forgot my
That's okay.
allergy medicine this morning,
We'll
and
come
I've
back
been
to
paying
you.
for it ever since. No, I'm good.
All right, go ahead.
Thanks for being here, Joey. I think my question is probably more for Penny, so I'll probably wait for her to get up here. But I do appreciate how this has been presented. You represented the Madeline Commons project, and you earned a great deal of respect from me in how that was negotiated out from where it started, where it finished. And so I have a lot of confidence and trust in you that makes it a little easier to talk about things like this when they come up. So I want to give you that kudos, because I know I've not been your best friend from my seat at all times, but you earned a lot of clout with me then. And so, but my question is more for Penny. So.
Understood. Councilman Green.
I'm good right now.
I'm good for now.
Good for now. I guess we're good for now.
Okay.
All right. Anybody from the public? Did you want to come back up? Oh, look, we'll go to public and then we'll come back up. Anybody from the public wish to speak to this? Come on up, Robert.
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive North. When I read the agenda packet, it indicated what Penny said about being one of the criteria is being compact, but in parentheses around it, it says does not contribute to urban sprawl, and that threw some confusion to me, because 2 units per acre, to me, that is urban sprawl. So I don't know how they make the justification that she made for bringing it into the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wish to speak to the item? Back to council. Penny, you want to come back up? Councilman Foley?
Thank you. Just want to make sure I do understand. So we're voting on annexation, and I understand that.
Correct.
So right now what's being proposed is that, and again, I appreciate the straightforwardness, is they're gonna come back and ask to do about 113 homes. We're put in a position where that, when that comes before us, we'll be able to say yes or no. But I guess what I'm trying to carefully phrase the question here. If they were to come back and say, all right, we actually new plan, we want to build a Walmart on this part, and we want to build a thing, we'd have the right to vote that down.
Correct, and staff wouldn't recommend approval for that either
Right.
because it wouldn't meet, a Walmart would have to be designated commercial, and that land use doesn't meet the locational criteria.
I'm being absolutely preposterous
Yeah,
on purpose,
Yeah.
right? I
We've
just
got
want-
criteria in our comprehensive plan that allows us to guide the analysis that we provide you, that gives you some of the data and analysis to be able to make your decision. Ultimately, you do, and I want to clarify, that is what I said, it is up to the council. The applicant makes a request.
Right.
We analyze it, and it comes before you as a quasi-judicial decision, but it is ultimately up to you, and especially with PUDs, it's a negotiated zoning.
Right, and so I appreciate you clarifying that, and I appreciate again the straightforwardness and being upfront and being honest, and the comparisons in this graphic to be able to say, okay, this is what is going on in Cypress Head and Water's Edge and et cetera. So it makes it so much easier to take this information and kind of boil that down for me. So I think it's a good job by everybody. Thank you.
Mine is dealing with the future, annexed or not annexed. The ultimate goal here is we know that homes are going to be built either in the county or Port Orange city limits. My question is what is the strain on police, fire in that area as we start to build out those properties? Because it's not just this property. I mean, y'all travel out there and there's another 100 acres that's out there and there's another 80-acre parcel that's out there also. It's future for the taxpayers, the burdens that we have to look at in the future.
So police and fire were part of the review of the annexation. They were provided the information that if this property was annexed into the city, what is proposed ultimately would be up to 113 single-family homes, and they stated that they have the capacity to handle that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
welcome. So this is going to be a topic of conversation with people throughout the community eventually.
Yes.
And the one complaint I have heard, which isn't many, is are we going to see another apartment complex? Now Reed brought up a Walmart. Well, obviously no, but it's residential, and it wouldn't be a. We're clear to say to the public that this will not be another apartment complex going up.
Correct. The future land use category that's proposed, right at this time conceptually, the future land use category that's proposed is the 0 to 2 units per acre. It's a low density residential, single family home residential. It doesn't, if you look at the category in the future, in the comprehensive plan, it speaks to single family homes, detached single family homes.
Okay, but we're talking about annexing it tonight. We're not really talking
Correct.
about that.
Correct, but we did want to foreshadow because once you annex, you are required to apply city categories thereafter. So we wanted to foreshadow that if you approve this, this is most likely what is coming as far as this is what's under the discussion at this point. Things change based on the neighborhood meeting, based on the review and analysis. But at this point, this is what we have been told is the desire if it is annexed. And so we wanted to put that out there and be forthright about that.
Okay, and I'm gonna put this out there too. If we annex this property and this property gets sold to another developer and they come to me looking for an apartment complex, it's a big no.
And staff's had that conversation as
Good.
well with people that, like I said, the city policy historically has been to look at the surrounding area and look at what's compatible, and not go above a density in that area of more than 2 units per acre, because that's what's in that area.
Okay.
I don't have anything else for Penny, but I will have this, is that one way or another, something's gonna happen here, and I would rather Port Orange control it. I look at it like, and I've looked at all the impacts. If I didn't know that the interchange at Pioneer Trail was now gonna happen, I would have had second thoughts on this. But now that I know that interchange's coming, I look at the impact. I think I've decreased the impact on the traffic. fire department's half-mile away, we got water out there, these kind of things. This is gonna be the final little piece, I guess. This is gonna be the southwest border of Port Orange. It's gonna be this property, because you're not gonna see anything else to the south and west of that road that's gonna come into Port Orange, because nothing else is gonna be contiguous. So, I look at it as this particular potential for us to have some nicer homes, some that's gonna contribute to Port Orange with very little impact. We do know in today's codes that, you know, we're not gonna allow this builder to go out there and build something that's gonna flood or flood someone else. We know we've learned these valuable lessons, and I feel like we are gonna have better control over this property and this future property by it being in Port Orange.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
All right. So I've spoke with the applicant on this, and you know, first and foremost, what I would say is that this is an applicant with a long history of doing some really good quality work in the city of Port Orange. So that gives me some comfort. And while tonight's meeting is strictly about annexation, I would agree wholeheartedly with what Councilman Green just pointed out, is that I would much rather have a project being done in Port Orange where we have some say and we have some control over getting the best quality project to come into the city of Port Orange. And I've spoke to the city manager about this. You know, one of the concerns I have is obviously stormwater mitigation in this area. You wouldn't think that with all of the stormwater retention that all of these neighborhoods have added in this area, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, all you got to do is Google Earth it, there wouldn't be any issues. But there are issues, and we've seen the Spruce Creek River overflow the Moody Bridge on Williamson and completely cut off this portion of the city. That being said, the build of Pioneer Trail and I-95 to a big degree helps to ease that calm or that concern, so to speak. So that's a good thing. The other thing, and I spoke to the applicant about this, was that there are certain ways that stormwater runoff is supposed to be occurring out here with the Spruce Creek River. Most of it coming from the New Smyrna side of Pioneer Trail. And I've asked a lot of questions. Obviously, I live in close proximity to this area. I've stood out there during storms and immediately after storms, and water that's supposed to be flowing a certain direction is flowing the opposite way. And so my concerns that I've spoke at length with the city manager is that, you know, I'm fine with annexation, but when we get to the part where we're approving development, I really want to be able to see some modeling. I want a greater assurance of how things are going to be done, that we're not going to create any additional stormwater problems, and that the development will hold its stormwater. And those standards, as we have seen, that everybody's been working off of, they very well, for whatever reason, may not be the standards that are the best anymore. And we're going to have to look at that. I mean, we've had two, you know, we're not going to beat up what we've had in the last couple of years. You guys are, well, we're still getting residents coming in as we see tonight. But it's a big concern. That being said, I think this is something of a concept and an applicant that has a history of working with us. And so I do feel good about that, and I feel good about the initial annexation of that, but there will be a lot of work and a lot of assurances for me to make sure. I want to see it, and I'm going to ask the city manager to speak to a little bit, because right now we are not capable of modeling this particular area. It is not part of the stormwater master plan, this region, and so I'm going to ask Wayne to just touch on that as to what does council need to do so that we can get that. If we decide to annex, I think it is a prudent thing for us to do, so that we can model these areas. Well, can you just touch on that, where we would need to go and what would need to be done so that we can do that?
So one of the things that we did in addition to our stormwater master plan is we entered into agreement with the county to do stormwater basin plans, and that was picking up both B19 and Spruce Creek's basin. So the county study then broadens the scope out even beyond just the city of Port Orange. So the Spruce Creek basin study will pick up that graphic that was up on the screen. Most people aren't aware that Spruce Creek actually loops out, goes up north and loops back around and onto the bridge. The water from New Smyrna comes up, goes north and west and comes into that same creek going the way around. So that's going to be modeled and analyzed. It won't be modeled, I don't think, at the level that we did with Kimley Horn, but it will be analyzed through that whole area, because what's out there, that what occurred happened with this area being grass. So this area will be required by code to hold its water and release it at the level that it is now. So the engineers are going to be sure they're not going to be adding to the problem. The problem is already there, which is kind of what we have on the east side. We continue to try to retrofit areas that weren't built to the current code standards. And in this case, we have a bigger issue with that regional creek. There's obviously something that occurred in there that the bridge did not survive that the fact that it's been underwater now twice. So there's something in that basin that needs to be looked at. I think this piece of property in the grand scale of things, there's sufficient code to make sure that property doesn't contribute to it getting worse.
And Wayne, and if you don't know, you don't feel like you've got to wing it, but my understanding from the conversations we've had is that generally speaking, the way that water should run off of that property when it can't retain any more water is it should be going to the west through Samsula Estates into the Spruce Creek River and then running that northerly wraparound all the way out. That's how it ultimately works its way back.
That's correct. That's my understanding of the outfall from this property.
Copy that. I don't have anything else. Anybody else want to touch on any of that?
The only thing I think that, and again, and to follow up on Wayne's conversation, is our neighbors to the south have approved this big community to be built, and their overflow plan is to send it to Port Orange.
They don't have to have a plan. It does that now.
Well, but that's where it
just
goes.
so you know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's part of my overall concern. Not, the particular property itself. Yes, but I'm talking about anything that gets developed in this region of our city.
Yeah.
Seeing what we have seen coming from across Pioneer Trail is a concern. It has to be a concern because it happens.
Yep.
So we just got to be able to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think our biggest concerns that there were I don't have the graphics with me, but the two creeks that come north out of Water's Edge, that one of them comes out at the edge of Cypress Creek and the other comes out of Water's Edge, and they go north into it where we had a couple of homes on the north side of Water's Edge flood, and then the loop that comes around to the bridge. I'm really interested in seeing what the basin study shows, because I do think that's a regional issue. It's the broader whole full basin of Spruce Creek is where that challenge is coming from.
And when you get a chance, if you can get us an update on the timeline of that study, that would be great.
Okay.
Anything else from council?
No.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor for ordinance number 2025-14 for first reading. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Kepfer?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Groves?
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner?
Yes, 5-0. See you at second reading, Josie. Regular agenda item number 24, capital financing items.
So Finance Director Mark Simpson is going to lead this. We also have our bond team here with us.
Mark, welcome.
Just go ahead and read the ordinance for you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $38 million capital improvement refunding revenue bonds, Series 2025, to refund all or a portion of the city's outstanding stormwater utility revenue bonds, Series 2005, and capital improvement refunding revenue bonds, Series 2014, to finance or reimburse capital improvements, providing for the payment of such bonds from legally available non-ad valorem revenues deposited pursuant to a covenant to budget and appropriate, providing for repeal of inconsistent provisions, severability, and an effective date.
Have a motion, please?
I'll go ahead and make the motion. Move to approve ordinance number 2025-15.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Take it away, my friend.
Good evening, Council. Mr. Mayor, Mark Simpson, Finance Director, City of Port Orange. Tonight we have the first reading of ordinance number 2025-15, which authorizes and secures capital improvement and refunding revenue bonds not to exceed $38 million, like the attorney mentioned. Would say that $22 million is for the Public Utilities Field Operations Facility, and approximately $14 million will refund a portion of the 2014 capital improvement bonds, and 2005 stormwater bonds. This would save approximately $1.5 million in debt service over the remaining life of the bonds and has a net present value savings of $667,000 or 4.91%. We do have the esteemed members of our financial team here who can get into the specifics for you. If you have questions, we have our bond counsel, our financial advisor, and our underwriter.
You may have had us at saving money, but let's just double check. Councilman Green, anything?
Now, I've learned a lot about this in the last month and a half, and I'm good.
Good work.
Gentlemen? Reed, come on, it's finance, man. This is your world.
I do love this world, but actually Wayne took care of it all today during lunch. I'm good. So,
all right.
All my questions are answered.
I've got nothing for you. I wish I did on that one, but I've got nothing for you on that. Do we need to discuss item B at the same time, or are we going to do that separately? Separately, right?
Yeah, you can do that, sir.
All right, we'll do that one separately. Anybody from the public wish to speak to this one? Back to council, last bite?
Saving money.
Yeah. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner?
Yes, 5-0. How about item B, resolution number 2525? You look just like the last guy that came up here.
We don't have to read that one.
Oh, we don't? Okay, because this is a resolution. Next, we have Resolution 25-25 to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds, which have been approved by our constituents. These debt proceeds will be used to fund capital projects relating to the Parks Capital Improvement Plan. We have representatives from Parks here, I believe, as well as our financial team, bond counsel, financial advisor, underwriter, who can answer technical questions related to these general obligation bonds.
Anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve
Yeah,
resolution
let's
number
do that.
2020 or 25-25.
I'll second
You'll
it.
second it?
So this opens up that bank account, if you will, for us to start doing the work of the Parks and Rec bond. Is that how this basically shortens out?
I believe we've already advance funded some things and that we.
Yeah, we did a reimbursement resolution prior that allowed us to start on some of these, and then once we get the funds, we repay ourselves from it. But this is essentially, that puts the $30 million in the bank for you to do the projects.
Okay, right, thank you.
Anybody else got anything? Anybody from the public wish to speak to resolution number 2525? Back to council, call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
You got
Thank
an
you so
easy
much.
night.
They won't all be like that,
Yeah, you got
especially come July and August.
Yeah.
All right. Item number 25, first reading of ordinance number 2025-05.
An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, authorizing the issuance, I'm sorry, I went back one. Amending Chapter 58, Article 4, Sections 58, 74, 75, 77, and 78 to remove requirements for photographic and videographic documentation of the work area prior to construction, dispensing with permitting requirements for certain routine maintenance tasks, removing various certifications of the engineering plan, and the requirements to provide as-built upon completion, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I have a motion to approve 2025-05.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the item to be on the floor. And I'm going to kick it right back to the city attorney to kind of weigh in on this one for a little bit, because I know him and his team have put in a lot of work on this.
Yeah, so we worked closely with the permitting team to take a look at the ordinance. It's been a bit of a moving target for us. There is significant state law regulation that kind of layers into what the city can do locally, but we did get some comments from our industry partners, communication providers, for that really asked the permitting team in the city to look at some improvements to that ordinance. So they, we took some time with those team members. We took a critical eye to some of the items. I think it was a bit of a kind of meeting in the middle. I don't know that it was exactly what the industry had proposed. I will say there's foundationally, it seems like there's a bit of a difference of opinion as to their legal team and your city attorney as to where the line in the sand is, I guess, to say for what the city can do in this field. It's one that, you know, I don't know that we're going to, you know, get there, but we're hopeful that through this exercise, you know, and being responsive and making this an easier system or a better system, you know, we think it does weigh our concern of protecting your infrastructure that's in the right of way. I mean, you know, a large investment that you have with the industry's need to access that right of way to provide their service to the citizens. So, you know, we think we kind of met them in the middle, and that's what's here before you in this draft.
Good. Mr. City Manager, did you want to weigh in on this one at all, or do you have anybody from staff that wanted to weigh in on it?
If you've got any technical questions, City Engineer Gina Reed's here to answer them if you have
Okay.
any specifics
All right.
of it.
All right, Reed?
I don't think I have anything to say about this one, honestly.
All right, Tracy?
It's protecting our infrastructure. I mean, we've talked about this several times, and I think, leave it in the attorney's hands.
I'm certainly not an expert in this field, but I can tell you that there's been a lot of stuff going on in right-of-ways throughout this city with internet providers and cutting
Fiber optics
lines,
and-
and I've had complaints from grass being removed and not put back, and you know, so this is, but what I think what this is doing is trying to allow it to be a little easier on the companies replacing what's already there, if I understand correctly. Is that correct?
Or
So-
adding, yeah.
Adding to it, or, okay. Improving?
Making it simpler for those, yeah, when you're just replacing the area like that, an upgrade of maybe a coax to a 5 or something, but in the exact same location.
In the exact same
Making that a
location.
little bit of a simpler process.
Okay, all right. It's good. Makes sense.
Yeah, I've been involved in this a little bit and trying to figure it out, and it seemed like, you know, that we had a backlog of 100 and some odd permits for communication companies trying to get work done in the right of way, and personally, I thought that the requirements for getting a permit in the right of way were pretty tough and very expensive. I mean, we were requiring, you know, surveys of every single property that you're putting a pipe in front of, and so on and so on. And I think staff's done a good job at working to try and make it a little bit easier. I know the backlog of the amount of permits has gone down to hardly nothing, and that we're getting the work done. But I'm going to echo Sean's things is, again, we want to make sure that whoever's working in the right of way finishes the work and finishes it the way it was, and not going in, tearing up somebody's yard and say it's not our problem. So hopefully we've clarified that within this particular ordinance, and that moving forward, A, they can get their permits, and B, they're going to be able to do the work effectively and finish it.
Right, for sure. You know, so former Councilman Bob Ford, who's no longer with us, used to have a saying that perception might as well be reality sometimes. And, you know, while we're talking about something here where it legally is defined as the city right of way, people see this as their yard, right? They mow it, they fertilize it, they take care of it. It's contiguous to their actual private property, and the perception is it's my yard, right? You guys have all had calls where
Oh, absolutely.
hey, some crew show up today and started digging up my front yard and running this pipe. What's going on, right? So, you know, I think it's our job and us as a city to do the best job we can to allow companies that need to get in there and do their work to put the services in that the residents are looking for, actually, right? But also protect the interest of our residents at the same time and their properties and things. Unfortunately, you know, I can tell you from firsthand how destructive it can be and how emotionally defeating it can be, because not too long ago, one of these fiber optic companies did this in my daughter's property here in Port Orange. She's a new homeowner, hadn't been in the home all that long, and one of them came through her neighborhood and put their conduit and their whatever they were putting in, I think it was fiber optic, completely through in and out of the sewer line going to the city street. Well, guess what happens when you put an obstruction inside of a sewer line? You will soon find out that you will get a backup of sewage into your master bathroom. And so those types of things happen from time to time, and I do get mistakes are going to happen, but we have to have some oversight. You know, and when the unfortunate does happen, people have got to call us, and we will do our best to hold you know, the subcontractors and whoever accountable to make things right and get things taken care of. So I do appreciate the work that the city attorney's office has put into this, because we do want to have a good relationship, and as technology changes and, you know, things need to be added to the networks and the infrastructure to continue to provide a lot of the services that all of our residents look forward to and enjoy. It's work that's got to be done in the right of way. So let's go to the public real quick. Alex, did you want to? Is he still here? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, still here.
Come on in. You're still
He
late.
doesn't get paid unless he gets up to the microphone.
Save the best for last.
Come on, Alex. Welcome,
Well,
my friend.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. My name is Alex Redkin, and on behalf of Charter Communications, which operates under the brand name Spectrum, I want to thank the City of Port Orange for its willingness to work with us for over a year on this right-of-way permitting issue. It's been a long time coming, and we're deeply grateful for the courage you've showed and for your leadership in ensuring that this was a process where we could all work together. And while we still have some different perspectives on the details of this ordinance, what unites us ultimately is the shared goal of serving Port Orange residents, your constituents, and our customers as effectively and efficiently as possible. So to that end, we're looking forward to this being implemented and to continuing our strong partnership with the city. So thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Anybody else from the public wish to speak to this? And I will just note that Alex and I have had a couple of conversations, as well as the city attorney and even the city manager through this process. And one of the interesting things that comes up with every now and then is you hear this thing of, well, all the other cities do this a certain way. And in some cases that is very, very much true. But sometimes what you find out is the city has ordinances that aren't being followed. And then things just become well, that's just the way they do it, or that's just the way they've done it, or that's just what they allow. And so, you know, I appreciate the work. There was a lot of work that went into this. I'll be quite honest with you. And
Absolutely.
so, but I am glad that we've got it to this point tonight. So, back to council. Any other comments on this, folks? No? Let's call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Krebs?
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner?
Yes, 5-0. Council committee reports, item 26, City Council Committee Report, River to Sea, TPO. How about it, Vice Mayor Tracy Grubbs?
So the TPO, my first meeting with them for Volusia Flagler was actually really good, because what happened was they were laying out the 25-year plan. It was good to see in the top 10 25-year plans Williamson for Port Orange. So it's on the list. It's on the top tier of the list. So that's my report. Is we got good things coming.
Is that from Madeline all the way to Town West?
That's going from Bevel all the way down to Madeline.
Well, they're already
And
doing Bevel. They're already going to do Bevel to Madeline now.
Yeah, but it's an overall plan going all the way down. It actually pictures it all the way down to Pioneer Trail. So there's sections of it already done, part of it, but it shows the whole thing.
Nice.
I'm going to make an updated note from TPO, since I just happen to have a little local news and knowledge. When I was on the TPO board back in 2019, we were seeing a series of horrible accidents that were occurring at the intersection of Pioneer Trail and Tomoka Farms Road. And if some of you recall, we even had a great public servant named Frank Schofield, who was a local Volusia County Sheriff's deputy, lost his life there when he was hit on his bicycle in that intersection. But even weeks preceding that and weeks after, there were other incredibly serious crashes. And it just seems like at this particular intersection, when there is a crash, it's rarely ever minor. It's bad. Vehicles are flipped over, people are being extricated, the whole 9 yards. And so the TPO and the County of Volusia Department of Traffic Engineering, they came up with a concept to redesign that intersection into a roundabout. which is always interesting when you say the word roundabout, and a lot of folks just don't know. But the reality of it is the facts are undeniable that roundabouts are safer. They may take a little bit of getting used to. They're not going to completely eliminate accidents, but when accidents happen in roundabouts, they are less serious. Statistically, all over the world, what they see are incredibly huge drops in severity of accidents and fatalities. And so that intersection was proposed, it was designed, it was funded, and last month it went out to bid, and the bids have closed, and I believe it has either been awarded this week or it will be awarded like extremely soon. It's a 440-day project. I think that in conjunction with the fact that there's going to be an interchange at Pioneer Trail, as traffic continues to move westward on Pioneer, now when you get to Tomoka Farms, depending on the time of the day, you see a pretty good significant backup. The other thing you see is, and maybe it's just a point of humor, but it's amazing how many people still can't function at a four-way stop sign. Nobody has a clue who's supposed to go, and everybody's doing this, and it's like everybody's directing traffic from the windshield of their car. And it's the concept of nobody still knows who to go, who to go, when to go, right? Anyhow, that's all going to come to an end. The roundabout design that is going in there, I believe they call it a smart roundabout, or Tim, do you know there's a kind of a nickname where it essentially forces you, because one of the
it's one lane though. It's a one lane roundabout.
Yeah, it's more modern. I think that's what they call them, modern roundabouts, because initially the old style roundabouts were designed. You could, if you didn't understand, I got to stay to the right, you could end up turning left. These you can't do that anymore. It puts your car into that right turn so that you're counterclockwise always in.
So did they resolve the property issues, and is that roundabout going to be on the front steps of the patch?
Yeah, so they must have. I know the last time I saw the design plan, it kind of shifted it a little bit more to the southwest. But it's funded, permitted, it's been bid. It's a 440-day project. It'll be coming soon. Even if it's not in our city, I think it'll have impacts on the developments and things that are going out there. So, any other items to come before us tonight? No? That being said, thank you guys for attending. Have a great night.